Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is TamezTech and welcome to a brand new video. Today we are actually playing Shadow Marowak. I made a video yesterday about how Shadow Marowak was literally in every freaking team I saw, and it was just really difficult to actually beat. So today I thought I'd give it a shot myself. I ran a team that I wanted to mimic one of those really cringe teams. Usually Shadow Marowak lead, Wigglytuff, and Bastiodon in the back. But of course I didn't just want to run those, right? So I ran Marowak, as you can see here, Florges in the swap, and Cradily in the back. So you guys are pretty familiar with Cradily lately in the channel. Honestly, Cradily is a really strong Pokemon in this meta lately. So I figured I'd give it a shot. Of course, Florges is really good as well. Chilling Water Trailblaze, really good coverage. And we all know Marowak can practically 2-shield onto anything that doesn't resist Mud Slap. So let's go ahead and check out these battles and see how we did. Honestly, we did pretty decent on the day. We went 16-9, so not too shabby at all. We see Guslord in the lead in the first match, and this isn't a terrible lead, but of course we do have better answers to this. So I'm gonna look into making a very funny play. I'm gonna do one Bone Club extra and then catch on my Florges. We are catching probably Brutal Swing, but no, it's actually a Dragon Claw, so really good for us there. My opponent brings in Caesar, and this team is ABB into Caesar. So even if you have a really decent lead, unless you can keep a lot of health and at least one shield into Marowak, you should always be looking into pivoting out with this team. You want to bait out a Caesar in the back if there is one. Here we know that Caesar did farm up a lot of energy, but whatever they throw first, if we either shield a Trailblaze or we don't, they're only going to get to another Night Slash, so we are chilling here. I bank a Bone Club on my Marowak and I bring in Cradily. And my opponent is staying in. They actually land that Dragon Claw, which is really decent damage. And honestly, I'm feeling like maybe I should have shielded that because this is getting a little bit spooky. Now I'm kind of forced to shielding debuffed Brutal Swings, so that's definitely not great. Really wish I would have shielded that Dragon Claw there. But I can take the knockout here with a Rock Tomb. And hopefully we have some play into the back line here. Let's see. Gastrodon comes in, and we do have a little bit of a pacing advantage here. I will say it looks like my opponent might have lagged a turn on entry there. They could have probably gotten a body slam. Maybe they were looking to, you know, catch attempt, but regardless, GG's to my opponent there. In the next lead, we see Greninja in the lead, and you know, this might not look like a decent lead, so I'm gonna pivot into my Florges, and we do bait out a Caesar, which is extremely ideal. And because we got 2 Fairy Winds into that Greninja, we can actually get to a second Chilling Water here. My opponent is more than likely going to cap tie us on this move, which I am totally cool with. I'd rather just keep my shields for the Marowak here. I can Mud Slap into, and check this out. You can actually fully Mud Slap down Greninja in the 2-shield scenario, which is extremely stupid, but you definitely can. So I'm just gonna be going for all these Mud Slaps here. My opponent is probably going to throw their second Hydro here and just look to pivot out. Of course, they don't want to give me a full farm down. And I make a bit of a misplay here. I start throwing my energy into this Galarian Corsola. I feel like it's not ideal. They shield the first one. I have a second. I'm 1 away from a third, but I'm giving them so much energy here for no reason that if I pivoted out and started debuffing them like crazy, I feel like a Nightshade wouldn't have knocked out and they'd be forced to swap out. So I bring in Cradily. I still have a pretty clear path to winning this game, right? I just full send a Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to do a little bit more damage than Rock Tomb here, but remember guys, I'm a dumb idiot. So I'm going to throw the Rock Tomb, fishing for a debuff that I really don't need anymore because I don't need to really tank moves anymore. We actually lag a turn somewhere there, and this was quite a problem yesterday. We were lagging turns left and right. It was definitely not ideal. My opponent survives on Greninja with 1 HP, and them getting this super effective water shuriken into us is basically the death of us, unfortunately. We are not going to be able to farm down the Corsola, and if I grass knot it, maybe we got a simultaneous KO there, but nonetheless, very unfortunate. We see non-Shadow for Alligator in the lead, which is definitely not ideal. For Alligator can win this matchup since they are the non-Shadow. They don't really get Mud Slap down before they reach the third Hydro Cannon, so I have to be looking into pivoting out of this matchup. I can throw on good timing here, and this will be totally fine for me. So I can do 1 in the move here, they're going to do 1 in the move themselves, and now I can do 3 Mud Slaps in the move before they get their second Hydro Cannon. So if they do shield this next Bone Club, I'm going to instantly pivot into my Florges. I cannot have my Marowak just completely die here after investing 2 shields into it. So they do shield, I pivot to Florges, I sneak a Fairy Wind, my opponent instantly throws a Hydro Cannon. You could try catching on Cradily here. It's just a little bit scary because if you do try to make the catch and they don't fall for it, they can full send an Ice Beam into you, and Cradily is practically off the field already. My opponent brings in Wigglytuff here, and thanks to the Chilling Water debuff, we are able to get to a second Chilling Water. We have a pretty decent answer to this with Cradily. Unfortunately, we will be debuffed here, which is not ideal, but we can bring in Cradily. They are double debuffed, so this Icy Wind will not really do too much damage here. I do not mind tanking this move on Cradily and getting a little bit of an energy head start, see what there could be in the back line, and they have a Jellicent. And again, pay attention to my Cradily. If you rewind the video a little bit, we're actually lagging turns here. We're losing a lot of turns, and we end up cap tying on a surf, which, I mean, after throwing 7 Bullet Seeds, that shouldn't have happened. I mean, 7 Acids. I know I need 2 moves to knock out this Cradily, and once again, we lose like 1 or 2 turns there. Cradily is just having an aneurysm. It just cannot hold up here. Thankfully, though, we do make a catch on the Marowak, but unfortunately for us, that Wigglytuff is just a little bit too healthy, and I don't know, man. I have to say, I think we got robbed that game. If the game wasn't lagging and we could have gotten that Rock Tomb before, we probably farm down the Wigglytuff and get a move onto the backline there. But unfortunately for us, Niantic is still reigning supreme in this game, so there's not going to be a fix anytime soon, as we know. In the next lead, we see Corviknight, and again, I mean, it's not even that bad for Marowak. I don't want to like throw it away instantly though, because Corviknight is probably their answer to Marowak. So I'm going to bring in Florges. My opponent chips and dips, and then they bring in Stunfisk, which is definitely a strange play. I feel like I really should have gone for Trailblaze first and then Chilling Water. That would have probably been able to give me a farm down in the future. But unfortunately, I go for the Chilling Water first, so there's really no point in going for Trailblaze anymore. But I can burn the clock here, throw another Chilling Water. This Mud Bomb is going to do absolutely no damage to us, and I can get a full farm down of the Stunfisk here. My opponent brings in Corviknight. I really don't feel like shielding this. I don't even think it could be a payback still. So I'm just going to full send this Bone Club. Corviknight already took a Rock Slide here, and Bone Club is only single resisted, so it's not going to do no damage. We still have enough health to force the Corviknight to throw another move here, and this is looking like a pretty decent farm down for my Cradily. I'm going to go for an Acid Down, which is definitely not ideal. It is double resisted, but if we shield a payback, this is going to be an amazing farm down. And I mean, Corviknight really has no incentive to bait here. They're not going to get to another move regardless, so we get the full farm down here. Stunfisk can't really do much into our Cradily either. We have to watch for a catch, but whatever. It really doesn't matter. My opponent tries to catch. We farm over 100 energy there, but I'm not throwing energy into like a completely dead Stunfisk. So I'm just going to full send the double Grass Knot. My opponent tries calling the Rock Tomb bait. It does not work out for them. And because they tried calling that, now I can actually go for Rock Tomb here. I can bring in Florges here, just debuff their attack. They're going to ramp it right back up with Rage Fist, but the damage is done. Like Homeslice Henry likes to say, we should be able to Fairy Wind down here before they get the counter down, and that's going to be a good game. Very, very interesting play style by my opponent there, bringing Stunfisk into Florges, but nonetheless decent for us. We see Azumarill in the lead in the next match, which definitely isn't ideal. I wasn't really paying attention there, so I actually do a Mud Slap and swap, but this kind of works out fine. This means that I can throw instantly with Florges, and it will be good timing, so I do not mind this whatsoever. I'm going to stay in with Florges. The next Trailblaze should come close to knocking out here, so I'm guessing my opponent is going to pivot out of this matchup, and they actually do. They pivot into a Bastiodon. This is pretty good for me because I can outpace to the next Chilling Water and just bring in my Marowak instantly. I can actually bank a Chilling Water / Trailblaze and just bring in Marowak right away. Since my opponent burned the clock so much, letting me throw a Trailblaze and throwing a Play Rough themselves, I could just fully slap down this Basti, bro. I love Mud Slap into Basti. It's just so satisfying. If there's a Pokemon I hate more than Marowak, it's definitely Bastiodon. But yeah, Azumarill comes back in, and these Bone Clubs are really adding up, buddies. So it looks like my opponent is probably going to be incentivized into shielding one of these moves if they want to get rid of it. I'm going to bring in Florges and kind of snipe them down here. They're either going to have to expend their last shield or give me or fully knock me out, right? So I bring in Marowak into the Primate because, of course, Cradily is not going to have an ideal matchup here. Looking back into it now, I probably should have brought Cradily and just gotten a shield with the Grass Knot, since I really don't have to shield Cradily just yet there. But my Marowak, it's a really chunky Marowak. This is still not a 1 HP. If you didn't know, charge attacks do 1 point of damage through the shield. So if you're at 1 HP and you shield a charge move, you will get knocked out. But thankfully, my Marowak, as you can see on the IVs there, 215-15, a very decent Marowak. So we're able to survive that. Amazingly, in the next match, we see Stunfisk in the lead. My opponent swaps into Corviknight. We make a really speedy swap into our own Cradily here. We should be getting outpaced to a payback, so I'm just going to instantly shield here. Regardless if it is a payback or not, I do not give a crap. I am just looking to shield and debuff. That is what Cradily players do. Thankfully, though, we do shield the payback, so this matchup is just guaranteed to go our way now. We get the debuff here, which is really decent. My opponent is really trying to commit to the paybacks, which means that they are going to get outpaced to the next move. Cradily is 7-6-6-6 to the Rock Tombs. So my opponent makes a pretty decent play here. They actually bring in Dusclops, and I throw on Alignment, which is not ideal. But I'm just trying to get this debuff as fast as I can out. Now I can just bring Florges. I can survive these Shadow Punches, slash Ice Punches. I don't know why my opponent Ice Punches here, but we are able to survive that pretty comfortably. Now they can go for the Shadow Punch, but again, this is debuff damage, so it's not going to do that much. We can still just go for our own debuffs here. I'm going to do 4 in the move, and we can still comfortably survive a Shadow Punch, so I'm not too worried here. I do want to have some residual energy in case something comes out. My opponent brings in Stunfisk, and right here, I'm just throwing this Chilling Water so I can burn the clock. I burn the clock, I can bring in Marowak, and I should be able to fully Mud Slap down here. I am getting a little bit worried though. If they do land 2 Mud Bombs, I might be really close to Air Cutter range. So I'm kind of thinking on where should I use my shield at this point. Regardless, these 2 Mud Bombs don't do too much damage here, and I come out with a buttload of energy. I don't really have to throw on good timing anymore. There's only a 3-turn user and a 1-turn user here, so my timing doesn't really matter. I can just instantly throw these Bone Clubs. Corviknight is extremely low anyways, so it really doesn't matter. We actually win the cap tie against Corviknight, which is absolutely unfair. Marowak should not be winning this cap tie whatsoever. I throw the Bone Club instantly once again. I really just want this Corviknight out of here so I can fast move pressure this Dusclops here. We actually survived 3 hexes. I have no idea how. And again, this is not 1 HP, so I can shield this move, fully Mud Slap down, take the 3-ball flex, and that's going to be a GG. On to the next battle here, we have Marowak into Empoleon. Empoleon is an extremely difficult Pokemon for my backline, so it is amazing that we see it here. We see Fearow come in, and of course, I mean, I'm gonna bring in Florges here and start debuffing here. You could argue that Cradily would be a better matchup into this, but I feel like Cradily does have to kind of go down 2 shields if it wants to win that matchup, unfortunately. So I just don't think I'm willing to do that just yet. I do get the debuff with Florges, which which means that I should be able to get another debuff with the Chilling Water here. Honestly, I could probably just go for a Trailblaze here, but no, I'm just going to opt for the full Chilling Water here, trying to give the opposing Empoleon the least amount of farm. And my opponent actually shields that Chilling Water, and they try to commit to a farm down, but they don't get it because of the debuff. So now they're forced out to go down 2 shields here. I'm going to bring in Cradily, get a farm down. This is a triple debuffed Fearow. This is going to do literally no damage. My opponent tries saving the Fearow for some reason. They pivot back into Empoleon, and this is just looking really tragic for them. My Cradily has a bunch of energy still. My Marowak should be able to knock out this Empoleon. I was a little bit worried about the timing there. I wasn't really counting my opponent's moves, unfortunately, so I throw a little bit earlier than I should have, but regardless, they have an Altaria in the back. We have Rock Slide on this Marowak, and again, very, very dumb. I don't know why they buffed Rock Slide again. It's really not fair. This thing does so much damage. I am not able to get the snipe down with Cradily just yet, so I do have to watch for a catch attempt. My opponent tries for the catch right away, and unfortunately for them, it does not work out, so that's going to be a GG. On to the next battle here. Let's see. We have TM Rocker Launcher. Okay. We see for Alligator in the lead once again, and you guys know how I like to play this. I play the 2 shield matchup, and if they shield, I'm going to instantly pivot into my Cradily. So once again, you can always throw on good timing here. There's really no reason to throw on alignment. I know Marowak players love throwing on alignment, mostly because they just don't play the game too much. But regardless, you can throw on good timing here as Marowak. You have no incentive to not throw on good timing unless you are not trying to play the 2 shield matchup, of course. But you are a Marowak lead player, so you play the 2 shield matchup, baby. This is how it works. Once again, we play the 2 shield. We throw the Bone Club, our opponent shields it. We're just going to instantly pivot into our Florges here. It does not matter what they do. And Florges should be able to tank that move. They bring in Clodsire here, which is definitely not amazing for us, but I mean, Florges has really decent coverage into this thing anyways. So I'm going to throw the first Chilling Water, and I'm not going to throw the second to try to bait my opponent to throwing energy. And look at this. We read them like a book. We overfarmed a 7. My opponent, for some reason, they throw at 7, probably because they were close to 100 energy regardless. And they actually undercharge a whole bunch there. I could bring in Marowak. I don't really have an incentive to shield here. This is a double debuff Stone Edge. It's really not going to do much. And my opponent brings in a Swilus. Very spooky Pokemon to see, but we are up so much energy here that we're going to be able to get both of these Bone Clubs off before they even get to their first Body Slam. And honestly, Swilus isn't even incentivized to shield. I mean, not to shield, to throw energy here anymore. They could just get a full farm down. I'm obviously just going to bring in Florges here if the game lets me. Florges should be able to take the knockout with a Fairy Wind, so my opponent has to throw it instantly if they want to see my third Pokemon, and they do get to see it. Unfortunately for them, it's not going to be a winnable matchup regardless, so GG's to them there. On to the next matchup here, we got Charjabug in the lead, and this is an amazing lead. My Cradily doesn't really want to see this. Charjabug just paces so much quicker, and the X-Scissors, man, they really add up. Charjabug can also survive a Rock Tomb pretty comfortably there, so it's not ideal. In this matchup, I do bring in Cradily, mostly because I just wanted to test how Cradily did into Fearow, as opposed to the Florges doing into it, because Florges, it kind of just won that out of luck, right? Our opponent trying to go for a farm down that they couldn't get to. I make a pretty severe misplay here. I should have cap tied on that first drill pick. If I cap tied on the first drill pick, not only do I survive the second, but I either force a shield or a knockout there. So now I'm playing this really, really far behind. That was a really bad misplay by me, honestly. But this Fearow, thankfully, it is single debuffed. I can go for a Trailblaze here. There's no point in Chilling Water in here. Trailblaze should take the knockout regardless. Of course, they're not going to shield that. They bring in their Charjabug here. I pivot into my Marowak, and they're not really swapping out, which is definitely weird. I wanted to bank a move on Florges if I could. I think I'm just going to put it all on Florges now. But unfortunately, because of how my opponent played out this matchup, they actually survived the Rock Slide, and they can get a second X's are here, so this is definitely not ideal. My Marowak is almost dead. My opponent has a Feraligatr in the back. Thankfully, very high rank Marowak, we're able to tank the 2 Shadow Claws on 1 HP, and my win con here is just throwing the Chilling Water. If I throw the Trailblaze and they shield it, they can fully Shadow Claw me down, but if I throw the Chilling Water, I can Fairy Wind them down here, and yeah, that's going to be a good game. Very, very well. Honestly, the high EV Marowak is very, very clutch, but since there's so many Marowaks around, it's a little bit scary because you always lose cap time to them, so you do have to keep that in mind. We see Swampert in the lead in the next match, and Swampert is a very scary Pokemon for our whole team, honestly. We have almost no fast move pressure into it with Cradily, and of course up shields. Cradily has a terrible matchup there. They have Sludge for Florges, which isn't great, but my opponent does a very weird play. They actually throw on alignment, which means that, yeah, I do have to double shield, but I have a full HP Marowak still, and I might not have shields for the back line, but we still have some play. My opponent brings in Gastrodon here, so I bank the double Bone Club, I bring in Florges, my opponent swaps into a Charizard, and man, what the hell is this team? I mean, this team just makes 0 sense, right? It's just so ridiculous. Regardless though, it looks like we are going to be in a pretty decent spot here. We should be able to survive a Blast Burn since this is the non-Shadow Charizard, so we can get a second Chilling Water off here, and Cradily should just be able to take home the win here. I can always just bring in my Cradily here. My opponent is going to instantly send the Blast Burn because of how much energy we have on our Marowak, so they're too scared to lose out on this Blast Burn. My opponent brings in their Gastrodon here, and this is not really going to be able to knock us out. The Water Pulse is just not going to cut it. So I'm going to bring in Marowak here, get the double Bone Club off. Definitely not ideal here because they can just outpace, but my Cradily has just enough energy that it does not matter. Gastrodon does win the cap tie against both of these Pokemon, so I did want to get my energy off as soon as I could here, and I do force my opponent to throw earlier than they could. Now I kind of just have to watch for a catch. My opponent actually makes the catch attempt a little bit earlier there, so thankfully for us, we are able to farm down the Charizard and power whip freaking Grass Knot this Gastrodon and take the win for that final game of the day. So there it is. You guys wanted a Marowak team. Here is a Marowak team. Genuinely, I don't think this team is too bad. I think it was really fun. I actually enjoyed playing it and using it. We did lose a few battles. I think I showcased 3 losses today out of the 9 that we had, and a lot of the other losses, I mean, you would never believe it, but we lost against the Marowak Wigglytuff Bastiodon team, I think 2 or 3 times yesterday. So definitely not ideal, but regardless, I think this team is really fun. I think this team has a lot of play, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, leave me a comment down below on what you would like to see next. You can also follow me on all my social media down in the description below. I will be streaming a little bit today on TikTok if you guys want to go check that out. I'm going to be streaming a little bit of the wild area event while I'm walking around in my hometown. So yeah, feel free to come by and say hi, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.